frustrations is people are, as soon as something happens, people are talking about it on TV. You know, we have athletes, and I'm glad that they're speaking out, but just talk in and of itself will get us nowhere. So,
well, you know, one thing I did like, one of the big leaders in the Black Lives Matter movement met with a couple of chief police
Right.
officers and President Obama, and there was an exchange of what each side felt like
and
the solution
that's
should be.
exactly what I think we need more of.
But one of the things I did like about that was, I mean, at least according to the leader of the Black Lives Matter movement, he was saying, you know, we were talking about this whole idea of you're in fear based on my race. And I know what you're saying is a lot of it is just dealing with socioeconomic. If you're in a certain neighborhood, that perhaps it's not based on race, it's just the fear of I've dealt in this neighborhood and I'm trying to anticipate the worst. But I still think when you're going before a judge to determine whether or not it was justified in what you did, to have to bring up a past of, well, every time I pull over someone, I should feel justified in being fearful and be able to pull out a gun. And probably the one you're talking about in particular with the Castillo, where the guy said, hey, I have a gun, I have a permit, and as he goes to reach it to show him, the police officer shoots him in front of his child as well as in front of his girlfriend. I think there needs to be a line to say, well, listen, were you in imminent fear of your life at that point? If he has pretty much, for lack of a better word, incriminated himself, even though he didn't do anything wrong, but told you, I'm about to reach for a gun, you know, this isn't a shock. I'm going for no other reason. And there have been recently in Los Angeles, there was a police officer who the city's going to settle because it was clear that, listen, you weren't in imminent fear of your life. You shot him. And he's saying, well, it's because I told him to put his hands up. After 15 seconds, he didn't do so, so I felt in fear. But we need to define what is a justifiable fear.
I agree. I agree with that. And you're right. I believe some of that is based on race. You know, we didn't really mention, and it hasn't really gotten a lot of publicity, that here in Atlanta, we had a white police officer who was just charged with murder and killing a young African-American male. And it's kind of been pretty quiet.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, it has been.
But people do want to focus on what isn't, you know, happening versus let's celebrate some of the things that are happening. Let's see what were those fact patterns so that it's known across the board, listen, this should be a standard.
Right.